Leo is ready for some licensed martial arts action with today's game, Chuck Norris Superkicks for your Atari 2600. Let's go ahead and take Chuck Norris Superkicks, pop it in my Atari 2600 and see how it holds up today. Let's go to the game. Chuck Norris Superkicks was published by Xonox and carries a copyright year of 1983. It was released as a standalone cartridge and also part of 3 double-enders, paired up with Artillery Duel, Ghost Manor, and Spike's Peak. Years later, Telegames released the game again, this time as Kung Fu Superkicks Pursuit of the Ninja, dropping the Chuck Norris name, most likely due to not having the license for it. The manual opens with the following. You are Chuck Norris trying to reach an ancient monastery to rescue a famous leader that is being held hostage. Beware. Dangerous warriors lie in wait to spoil your efforts to reach your goal. You begin your journey as a white belt, the first belt in the sport of karate. By defeating attackers, scoring points, and learning new martial skills, you will earn each of the colored belts associated with the Tang So Do style of karate. You must achieve the highest rank of all, the black belt, in order to reach and enter the monastery, which is guarded by the fearsome ninja assassins. Well, like Confucius says, there's no better training for a white belt than putting his life on the line going after trained ninja assassins. Chuck Norris Superkicks is an action game for 1 or 2 players alternating with 1 standard mode of difficulty. However, since you only have a single life in the game, when playing a 2-player game, the second player must wait for the first player to complete their entire game. You don't have a life bar in the game, but rather a timer with 6 in-game minutes that constantly ticks down. When you run out of time, your game is over. You start the game on a path that can branch off into multiple directions. Have you ever seen a sign that says keep off the grass? Well, in this case, they take it very seriously. Whenever you touch the grass, your timer will rapidly, and I mean very rapidly, go down until you get off of the grass. That will teach you. From time to time, you will cross invisible checkpoints where you will have to fight opponents. When you start the game, you can press up in the button to do a punch and down in the button to do a kick. If an enemy contacts you, you'll be temporarily knocked down. Enemies can also throw stars at you. By pressing left or right and the button, you can put up your forearm to block them. Once you defeat enough enemies, you can move on. However, if a throwing star hits you, you will be thrown back on the path, losing a chunk of time and having to start the entire fight over again when you cross the invisible checkpoint. When you take one of the branching paths, it's possible that it will be blocked by a tree. However, the tree does not show up until the very end of the path, and you'll need to fight opponents to get to it. This can be tedious, as if you reach a tree, you now have to backtrack to the beginning of the path, choose a different route, face another set of warriors, and risk having that path blocked as well. This, of course, can be very time-consuming in a timer-based game, and there's no way to know which path is blocked, since the game randomizes where the trees will show up. If you do defeat a group of warriors and reach another checkpoint, you will increase 1 belt color and get a minute added to your timer, as well as some bonus points. Once you reach green belt, your forearm block will turn into a somersault kick. This means you can no longer block the throwing stars, however you can jump over them. Once you earn your black belt, you can enter the monastery. At this point, you will face an endless amount of enemies, trying to build up as much of a score as possible before the time runs out. The good news is that getting hit by a throwing star will not return you to the path once you enter the monastery. The bad news is as you continue to knock enemies down, they will begin disappearing and reappearing at greater rates as more enemies are dispatched. Despite what the manual may lead you to believe, there is no way to quote-unquote beat the game and save the famous leader. You simply try to get a high score at the end. Scoring-wise, enemies start out being worth 100 points and increase in 100-point intervals until they reach 600 points in the monastery. You get 10,000 points for reaching orange belt, 20,000 points for green belt, 30,000 points for purple belt, 40,000 points for brown belt, and 50,000 points for reaching black belt. The sounds in the game are fairly basic, although I do like the tiny jingles, but I thought the graphics were actually pretty well done for a 2600 game. I particularly like the farmer who's just standing in the fields while you're on the quest of a lifetime. Family friendly wise, the game would most likely get an E for everyone rating, or maybe an E10 up rating for animated violence if released today. Currently at Pricetrying.com, the standalone cartridge of the game goes for $18 loose, $49 complete, and $72 new. The double ender with Ghost Manor goes for $25 loose, $199 complete, and $299 new. The double ender with Spike's Peak goes for $33 loose, $187 complete, $280 new, and the cheapest way to get it is as a double ender with Artillery Duel, which goes for $15 loose, $45 complete, and $60 new. The Kung Fu Superkicks re-release by Telegames goes for $20 loose, $35 complete, and $45 new. So what did I think of Chuck Norris Superkicks for the Atari 2600? At first, this game drove me crazy. It was way too easy to accidentally touch the grass on the overhead path, losing precious time. And in combat, I had a hard time getting punches and kicks to connect. When trying to do this while on the move, my character didn't always respond. It seemed the best approach was to be standing still before trying to punch or kick. And dealing with blocked paths was also a headache, especially when I had 3 choices, and both of my first 2 paths I took ended up being blocked. But once I was able to do the somersault kick, the fighting was easier to handle and the game became much more enjoyable. I almost wish you could have the somersault kick right from the start. It's also not that difficult of a game once you get used to the controls and have some decent luck picking paths. Personally, I was able to reach the monastery within an hour picking up the game. So overall, this is a game that drove me crazy at first, but by the end I actually had a little bit of fun with it. It's not the type of game I would go out of my way for, but I could see myself playing it again in the future. So where am I going to rank Chuck Norris Superkicks? This one is going somewhere in the middle. I'm looking in the 180s. I do like Wall Ball more at 187, but I will put this over Sprint Master at 188. So out of the 241 games that now ranked for the Atari 2600, Chuck Norris is super kicking at the 188 position. Chuck Norris Superkicks is half frustrating and half fun. But that's just my opinion. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Also, please like, share, and subscribe. Follow me both on the Facebook and the Twitter, and click the bell so you don't miss any future videos. At this time, I'd like to thank Rocky Raccoon, Jeremy L., David F., and Joe T. for nominating today's game and for their generous support on Patreon. If you think these videos give you at least $1 worth per month of information and entertainment, please consider joining my supporters at patreon.com/nosweargamer. Not only will you help keep the show going, but you'll also have a chance to nominate games for me to review. Thank you for giving me a little part of your day and look forward to seeing you next time on the next episode of the No Swear Gamer. Take care and keep out the grass. Apparently it's Chuck Norris's kryptonite.